If you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting.
Hi, everybody. Mike Riley, reporting on Halloween. I got Brooke Riley here. So, Brooke, who are you going to be for Halloween?
I've got the costume from the movie Scream,
Okay, there you
my
go.
favorite scary movie.
And what are your recommendations before we get into Browns talk for scary movies? I know this gets dropped after Halloween, but give me your top three. Latest, maybe just do latest ones that you've been watching.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of go like the gold standard is the original John Carpenter Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get any more classic than that. I'm a big fan of The Conjuring, those movies.
Okay.
Those are, they're pretty scary. I think horror movies in the 90s, early 2000s had a bad kind of reputation for being too violent and everything, which I'm not a fan of. So when those movies came out, I mean, they really kind of stepped up their game. And then just my personal favorite are the Scream movies. So there's a bunch of them out there. So yeah.
Well, for those older, I'm 71, by the way. So I'm child of the late 50s, 60s, early 70s in high school. I still think the black and white, The Haunting, 1960, directed by Robert Wise. By the way, did Sound of Music about 4 years later. And prior to that, in the early 50s, he did The Day the Earth Stood Still. So you talk about a range of different types of movies. So The Haunting, The Innocents, British film, black and white, came out in 62, 63. Jack Clayton was the director and writer. It's a cult classic, both psychological. And of course, you can't go wrong with Hammer films from Great Britain in the 50s, the original Dracula, The Return of Dracula with Christopher Lee. Just, it's just old school stuff. So speaking of horror, it's been the Brown season, but thankfully, as the dumb fans who don't, they're not professionals like Kevin Stefanski or Andrew Barry or something. What do these dumb fans know? I mean, a couple of years ago, we were talking about Joe Woods. Joe Woods has got to go. And no, it's not Joe Woods. And you get Greg Williams and immediately you get into a top three defense, right? Deshaun Watson.
Greg Williams.
Greg Williams, yeah. Yeah. Greg Williams, Joe Woods. I mean, really, who's picking these guys as opposed to Bill Callahan with the O-line, taking Wyatt Teller off the scrap heap, turning him into an all-pro, taking Posick off the waiver wire, turning him into a virtual all-pro. I mean, it's just amazing. The impact that the right player in the right time. And of course, once again, we've got quarterback. We got Jameis Winston come in. I saw that first drive. I knew immediately we were going to be scoring points. Guys going back to pass. The ball's out of his hands in 2 seconds. Boom. Njoku. Boom. Jerry Jeudy. Boom. Elijah Moore. I mean, and then of course we've got Cedric Tillman, who should be giving part of his new contract to, the Jameis Winston. I mean, it is amazing how people play better with the right defensive coach and the right quarterback. Your thoughts, Brooke?
Yeah, I mean, I just, it was a nice win against the Ratbirds. I gotta be honest, when they showed Lamar walking out on the field with a minute 40 left, I was like, oh, he's gonna win. So it
Yeah,
was just super nice to see them, you know, get that win. I mean, you talk about a team needing a win. I mean, it's
yeah,
amazing how, like, just how bad it was before. And I heard a lot of interviews afterwards, and people were reporting. I mean, the vibe now, it's been one game, 1 week. I don't really care, but the vibe the players had around Jameis that game, that whole week was like night and day. I mean, people were
yeah.
happy, people were coaching each other up, you know. So, hey, you know what? In a perfect world, I would love to see Jameis just keep keep playing well and, you know, plays himself into a new contract. So yeah, I mean, let's just take it. And you know, Jameis said it perfectly, where he was like, "Listen, I'm just taking this one game at a time, one drive at a time, one play at a time."
Right.
Um,
Hey,
but
I get not overhyping this. I get that. All right, Kevin Stefanski, if you're listening, Andrew Barry, Jimmy, if you guys are listening, probably not. But if you're listening, look at, I get the overhype, but come on, man. Anybody but Watson. Anybody but Watson. At least giving us hope. We know with Watson, it'll be another 7 sacks, 160 yards at best passing, and then some screw up in the red zone, right? There's going to be no comeback. As soon as they're behind, we know this game's over. Watson's not going to lead them back. And I think at least with anybody but Watson, there is hope. We just need competency at the quarterback spot. And all we've had with Watson is incompetency. And it's been reflected by Stefanski. And I've been telling everybody, I've said that in past podcasts, you and I have gone back and forth on this, Brooke. This is all on Stefanski because has the power to pick who wants to play quarterback. And he should get up there and you know what? He should get up there and simply say, I'm the one that decided Watson, not ownership, not Andrew Barrett. Just say it. Okay. And then defend your choice. Like,
well, they
what do
asked
you
him.
see? Okay, fine. That's it. Okay, now next series of questions is going to be
And
about
do you
your
know what?
competency.
Do you know what his answer was?
What?
It's a collaboration,
No,
i.e.,
that's
it is not my call. I
oh
mean,
well. See,
people heard that
now we're
loud and clear.
now we're weaseling. Now we're weaseling. Are you the head coach or not? The head coach or not? So just pin them down. Don't go waffling on me here. No, that's not an acceptable answer. And this is what really upsets me about the Browns press corps. Start asking what Riz and the fans are asking. You know what we're talking about at the barbershop, at the out to eat, at at a party or something. Watching him, everybody's talking about it. Don't make him weasel out of this. With Bill Parcells, it wasn't an organizational decision. Belichick, no. Why for you as a head coach is it you could hide behind the board of directors? That's just typical corporate bull. That's all that is. And it's reflected in the opaqueness of the decision-making process. But you know what really is upsetting, because I have a feeling next week, yeah, I think Winston's probably going to, he's going to throw a few INTs. I get it. But you know what? At least there's going to
At least
be
he's
some
throwing the
bombs.
ball.
Just throw the ball. He's going to have 300 yards. He's going to have a couple touchdowns. He's going to have a couple INTs, and maybe the defense will get their shit together and get some turnovers, right? So it'll balance himself off. But at least it's going to be entertaining to watch the game, okay? I think that's what's important. And I think Winston is if he stays healthy, even DTR comes in, if he stays healthy, we got competency at the quarterback. You're going to look back and you're going to say, you know what? If Stefanski had made this decision 3-4 games earlier, maybe after the Dallas game, or maybe before the Dallas game, because it was obvious in exhibition season that Watson just didn't have it. He's not ready. We'd be in first place. We'd be 6-2. We would have beat the Giants. We probably would have killed the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, I still am going back to, I don't think that it was Stefanski's call. I think he's relieved now that, he can, he's got someone throwing the ball who actually does throw the ball. And
let me throw this for you to chew on. I'll be interested in your thoughts. But look at the Cavs. Look at the frickin' Cavs. They let Bickerstaff go. He was a good guy. He was a good basic coach these guys up. But then when it came time, pedal to the metal, we got the talent. We need a whole different coach. Look who they bring in. I mean, it's Atkins, right? Everybody's calling it the Atkins diet now. And look at that team. And I think Stefanski could be a Bickerstaff type coach. Just a guy who can only take you to a certain point, but is not going to be able to make the hard calls that a true great head coach would do. And waiting in the wings is Mike Vrabel, who probably learned a lot like Belichick learned when he was coaching the Browns and then went over to the Patriots.
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message, and guess what? We'll call you back.
I wouldn't be surprised, and that's where Andrew Berry comes in. Andrew Berry's going to have a couple long talks with Kobe Altman, the Cavs GM, because if Stefanski is one of those organizational, no backbone, no testosterone, they may have to seriously look at how Watson was handled and how he kind of disappeared. And they may have to ask themselves, you know what, he's not the right guy. Your thoughts?
Well, I think Stefanski's he's a good coach. I mean, I still have some faith in him. I mean, compared to the shit show that we've gone through, I mean, I think he's by far the best coach I've ever seen them have since I've been watching this team. So there is that. There is something to like having some stability with the head coach. I know John Harbaugh, he went through a couple years where, it was like 8-9, 7-10. And he really had to learn. And until he found that magic piece, i.e. Lamar Jackson, I still think that the Ravens are a super, super, super good team. So, I still have faith in our coach. I think he's learning, what it takes. And then the thing is, it's like, at what point it's like, okay, you've reached your ceiling, it's a steady 8-9, 9-8, not seeing any progress. If Stefanski turns out to be like that Rams old head coach, what was his name? Jeff something, where he was always like hovering around 500, and then you bring in Sean McVay, and that year, they're
Boom.
in the Super Bowl. So,
Yeah.
it's a fine line of, let him learn, let him grow. I mean, it's like you see him in these speeches because the Browns will show after a win on their Instagram, they'll always show a video clip of the head coach. And I mean, there's definitely two sides of Kevin Stefanski. There's the side when he's talking to the press where, he's super laid back, you know, not really giving straight answers. And then you see him in the locker room. And I mean, this guy has a blowtorch under his ass. I mean, he's yelling, he's hyping them up. So I think the press and the fans aren't, we're not seeing what he's really like.
Well, I guess the big question, I agree with you up until the way this Watson thing's been handled. I mean, the fans deserve to know why this guy was continuing starting at quarterback when he was just terrible. That's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And I wish they would just grill this guy.
I think the answer is it's pretty obvious. I'm sure they're in this room, and again, you're not going to like this answer, but I would guess that they're like, hey, we gave this guy all this money. We are going to play him. We're going to play him until he either gets hurt or we're going to play him until it's like this guy has no chance. And I think that's what the decision was.
Right, but like I don't want to keep repeating myself, but we did explore this a couple weeks ago where I said the best way to coach this guy up is to literally sit him on the bench. Give him a wake-up call because his play sucks, and that may get his attention. But you know what? They're going to – if he didn't get hurt, what are we looking at? 2-15? Really? Write the season off? Start trading assets? I mean, these guys have to answer that and just come out. Yeah, we played him. He wasn't good, but we had so much money. We kept doubling down. Right? Is that what it was? No, don't squirm away here. The fans have a right to know, you know what, there's some accountability. You let Flacco go because what? It was upset his pride, ego, Watson, having a competent quarterback on the sidelines. I mean, that is just terrible. And they don't get, you know what? And these guys have to get out front. I mean, I would just bomb away if I was the press. We deserve some answers here. Okay? And they're trying to get this dome stadium. The thing they want is to just let this thing fester. And if they simply said, you know what? Deshaun was trying, but there was just way too much rust, and he was regressing. And we should have sat him down. That's it. Deshaun doesn't want it. That's his problem. He's got enough money to take care of that. But it is so maddening to have to listen to this bureaucratic crap from the organization. So, but I still contend that if you want to coach this guy up, you got to give him a dose of reality. Just sit down. Here's the clipboard. I want you to watch. If we have like I said a couple weeks ago, Brooke, if we're ever to practice, I want this ball. I want you to start reading these receivers are open. They're real. You keep missing these receivers. You keep holding the ball too long. You will stick. Okay? It's like a guy who keeps striking out. My take. And hopefully, who knows? Who knows? Maybe we turn it around. Sox did 20 years ago. Down 3 games to the Yankees, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can go 1-5, you can go 5-1.
Been done before. Run the table. Browns got a lot of good talent there.
I will say this. I will say this about Cedric Tillman. I'm in a couple of fantasy football leagues, and there's basically out of all the wide receivers in the past 2 weeks, in terms of fantasy points, out of all the receivers on every team, where do you think Cedric Tillman ranks in terms of the points?
6, 7.
One. He is the number one in PPR, which is a point system for wide receivers. So
Is he on your team?
No, when he scored that second touchdown, I searched for him and someone snatched him up. But I grabbed Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. No, the ball's getting spread around. And that's the genius of the Stefanski offense. That's the magic. But he needs a guy who's gonna run the plays, like Flacco.
Well, it was a step in the right direction. It was a step in the right direction last week when, he said, "Hey, look, I'm done calling these plays. We're going to hand it off to the OC." So I give him a lot of credit for doing that. And a lot of reporters were saying, he was going in, talking to the defensive guys, talking to the special teams guys. And I was kind of like, well, were you not doing that before?
No. Hey, Brooke, we've got foremen. All we're doing is teaching them how to delegate, right? No, focus on what you need to get done. And that's the problem when you promote these bright, young offensive coordinators. They just don't know how to be a head coach. And it's a tough. Belichick suffered with that with the Browns. He was doing too much. And you need a good owner and you need a good quarterback. That's what made the dynasty the dynasty. The relationship between Belichick and Robert Kraft. And Kraft was sick of Parcells. He felt used. Parcells was bossing him around. Bland Collier comes in, takes over Paul Brown, working with Art Modell and the Paul Brown staff, and all of a sudden magic happened. It does take a village. I get that. But this is where I think Haslam, is not a very good owner, because a good owner needs to help his coach. He can't be telling the coach what to do. But the other hand, he says, Kevin, why are you guys playing this guy? I'm fine. If we're going to have to take the hit on the money, that's fine. That's what an owner should be doing. I mean, I'm the owner of our company, Brooke, and you see, like the Sash and the Helmsdale, that kind of thing. Owners got to step up, be a leader. So, yeah, I think, thank God for the Cavs. Thank God for the Guardians. And and maybe, what? All I hope is Stefanski. He seems like a decent guy, talented. I hope he learns from this how to be a head coach, because it is difficult.
I think I still have some faith that he's a good head coach. And I think in a perfect world, as a Browns fan, we get DTR in there and he plays well. He's zipping it down the field. You got Jameis there as a mentor. You go into end of the season and you're like, okay, we got this young guy, showed a lot of progress. Apparently for Andrew Berry, they loved DTR in the draft. So okay. I think there's I wouldn't sleep on him. It's like you hear the news, you see like Bryce Young, and then the Colts just benched their number 4 pick quarterback. Yeah. It's such a crapshoot. And then you got guys like Brock Purdy. The last pick in the draft is making
Tom Brady, 6th round.
He's making per year what Dak Prescott makes per game.
Yeah.
So it's such a
Yeah.
crapshoot.
And
And
look at Dak. He's struggling. He's throwing interceptions. Then look at Sam Darnold. Okay? I mean,
or Baker.
Baker. Well, Baker's having some problems. He didn't have, he's got two all-pro receivers who are hurt. But, Baker's throwing he's throwing like 7 interceptions the last 3 games. So, yeah, I mean, it does take an organization. But if you got a guy who's so off key like Watson, he's got to sit. Can you imagine Watson coming back next year, and if Winston has a Flacco-esque type of year?
If that happens, then I'm done.
Yeah.
Then I am taking a break from that team. I mean, I've seen enough. I mean, this guy, I mean, he's missed so many games. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's just toast. I mean, they're even saying like that he might not ever snap a football again. He's just so kind of like
burned out, emotional. Well, he's like Baker this last year. Yeah. No, I think yeah. All right. Well, listen, it's going to be an interesting game coming up at home against the Chargers. I'm hoping. Any word on JOK? Is he going to be okay, ready to play?
I'm not sure yet.
Because JOK getting hurt and leaving that game, he was keeping Lamar Jackson under control. I mean, that was a Lamar Jackson show. That fourth period after they drafted JOK to take care of Lamar. And after he get him, Lamar's all of a sudden running for 100 yards. So, other than that, I thought Browns D played well. And they're going against the Chargers. And I mean, if we could put points on the board, if we could start another 30 points, we got that game. So, all right, Brooke. Well, we'll see what happened on Sunday, and we will pick it up next week. All right?
All right, sounds good.
Okay, thanks, Brooke. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.